Okay, I think we're recording. So, hey everybody, this is Jake Dixon. I am the founder of the Locker Room, and this brings me great joy to join you all live tonight through this platform with GoToMeeting. And the inspiration behind me wanting to do this was a lot of things. Number one, just being able to reach the entire Locker Room Nation on a subject that, frankly, I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to and benefit from. But really, it stemmed from me recently conducting this as one of my group coaching sessions. And I don't know, I get something just spoke to me that it's like I need to share this with more people. The response we got from the people in attendance that I personally coach here in Madison, Wisconsin was great. So we're going to do this thing, and I hope to keep it to an hour. Um, I know it can be very easy to tune out on webinars, so hopefully you're in a place that you can focus, you can concentrate, you can participate with me through this and not have any distractions. Because if you do, right there is part of the problem that we're going to talk about today is in this popcorn society that we live in, we have attention spans that are about yay big, and and we have problems focusing on things for periods of time. And wouldn't you know it, that's why we're partially talking about the time blocking deal. So that being said, very briefly about me, I'm not going to bore you and take up a ton of time here, but again, my name is Jake, founder of the Locker Room, been with Keller Williams now for about 5.5 years. I started out as an agent. I was a team leader for 3 years, and now I have been a coach for 2 years. And we just launched the Locker Room as far as the expansion aspect of things about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, if you can believe that. And right now, as we currently talk, we are in 75 market centers within Keller Williams and growing like a weed. And when we're not seeking out the growth per se, we are more focused on aligning with the right people and growing organically that way versus having a certain number of market centers that we want to be in. So it's really special. Every person who can see me or hear my voice right now, please make sure you take time to thank your coach first of all, and of course the entire leadership team in your office, because they sought out the best tools and resources for you to succeed. This is not free. This is not part of the normal Keller Williams environment. This is a bonus for you. So please don't take the Locker Room for granted, and that your coach and leadership team stepped up to invest in you to provide this, okay? So what we're going to talk about, hey, by the way, if you have background noise, you know what? I'm just going to mute everybody so we avoid this. Sorry, I love you all, but you're all muted now. so um, so what we're going to do is talk about time blocking. And by the way, you guys, I'm a really down to earth person. Tonight, I don't have a freaking formal presentation for you. By the way, I keep shit real. So am I going to possibly cuss from time to time? Yes. And I'm going to say sorry in advance. If that offends you, I'm sorry. I'm not here to be politically correct. I'm here to show my passion for this business, my passion for assisting and helping every one of you. And so, with your permission, I am going to keep it real tonight because you deserve that, right? And that's what I personally believe good coaches, good friends, good accountability partners are willing to do for you. So, with that being said, we're going to rock and roll. This might be a little choppy from time to time. Like I said, I'm not here to impress you with my fancy presentation. I want you to absorb the information I'm saying and make real life adjustments starting tonight, starting right now, okay? And that is what tonight is for transformation. The last thing all of you need is more information. You don't need to go to more trainings necessarily. And like Gary Keller teaches us, right, there's a difference between training for learning's sake or learning for learning's sakes versus learning for doing sakes. Tonight, I'm going to plead and make the case that this is a learn to go do and immediately implement. Are you with me? Okay. And by the way, please type in the chat window. I would love to interact. It's kind of like a Facebook news feed. I'm going to pay attention to your comments as best as I can tonight. So I'm just setting the stage here. All right. You with me? So the first half hour or so, I'm going to intentionally break things down because I believe to build, before we can build something up, we have to break it down. Or in other words, sometimes we have to get worse before we get better. All right. And so we're going to really spend some time interrogating reality about time. And then towards the latter part of the call, I'm going to now get into solution mode. We're going to provide some ideas and solutions that you can hopefully take with you tonight and implement. But first, we're going to spend a good amount of time breaking things down, okay? Cool. Hey, what's up, North Shore? I see you. Hi, Christina. Very good to have you on board here. So, with that being said, how many of you, I can't see you, you can see me, but how many of you, raise your hand or comment in the chat window or something, watched the video that I said was a homework assignment in the Locker Room Nation Facebook group? If you did, let me know. Russ watched it. Cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. Keep sharing your comments. Great job. If you haven't, great job, Logan, Christina. I see you. If you haven't, make sure you do that. Okay. That video is one that I watched probably 5-6 years ago. It's been around, and I have watched it many, many times. I don't know about you, it spoke to me, and I would love to hear what spoke to you from that video. But here's what I'm going to get at. Because I don't get to interact with you, this is challenging if you've never done a video like this before, to just entertain yourself and talk into a little camera for an hour. But what I want you to think through is what spoke to you in that video. Why would I have wanted you to watch that prior to our meeting right here? Why? Well, before you answer, I'm just going to keep going here and say that part of that, because different things spoke to different people, I'm sure of it, but part of it is I need you all to realize, look into my eyes right now, understand this. What we're going to talk about tonight, this whole time thing, this is absolutely urgent. I'm not kidding, like this is urgent and important stuff that you need to get a grip on in your life, okay? The days when you say things like, God, I don't have a life, people are calling me at 11 o'clock at night, they're texting me at 6 in the morning, blah, blah, blah. We're going to nip that in the bud, because here you are not here to be a slave to your business. Let your business serve you. And we're going to deep dive into this stuff. So I'm just setting the tone. I'm just setting it up for tonight, and we're getting ready to deep dive into this stuff. So how many of you have ever said things like, there's not enough time in the day? I know I'll raise my hand. There's not enough time in the day. How many of you say, gosh, I just wish there was more time. Oh, I'm so busy. I know we can all relate to that. We all say those things. And I kind of tease around and say, when adults say, I don't have time, that's like the adult version of the dog ate my homework. It's complete BS. You don't have the time. Yeah, right. Time is the great equalizer for everybody. It is the greatest equalizer for everybody. I'm going to submit to you tonight, for conversation purposes, this is not about time blocking. I kind of lured you in. Time blocking is not the issue, you guys. The issue is priority management. Understanding what's priority versus not a priority, and we're going to go into that. It's not time blocking. I mean, come on, give me a break. Anybody can pull up their Google Calendar, bust out their planner, and say, gee, from 9 to 10, here's what I'm going to do, rah, rah, shish, boom, bah. It is a priority management issue, and, ladies and gentlemen, it is an integrity issue. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you are not respecting your calendar. You are not doing what you said you're going to do. If you were back and having a real job and you didn't clock in, clock out, or do what you said you were going to do according to your job description, how long would you have a job? Not long. Your boss would fire you. So right now, some of you need to level up with yourself and say, gosh, would I hire me based on my attitude, my work ethic, and following a simple routine schedule? Now that we enter this land of 1099 independent contractors where we're in business for ourselves, because I entered this business for freedom and flexibility, come on, you fall victim to your own self-sabotaging habits, your own self-defeating behaviors, right? So this is not a time blocking issue, you guys. I want you to understand that. Tonight is going to be more about priority management. And we're going to, again, interrogate reality. I've got a lot of things to show you, and I would highly suggest you have something to take notes on or whatever, but I am recording this and I will post the replay for you, okay? So here's what I would say. There's a quote out there that says there's never enough time in the day to do everything, yet there's always enough time in the day to do the most important things. I'm going to say that one more time. There's never enough time in the day to do everything, true, yet there's always enough time in the day to do the most important things. And herein lies the opportunity. What are those most important things? Let me say it this way. If you've read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, or maybe you've listened to it on audio, you'll know that Gary Keller says that it's not about selling real estate. It's not about selling real estate. What does he say after it? He says it's not about selling real estate, it's about following a schedule. That is what the man himself, and unless you or I, let alone combined, are smarter than Gary, which I highly doubt, there's a lot of wisdom packed into that statement. It's very profound if you think about it. This is not about selling real estate, it's about following a schedule, right? And so, if we can all agree, like I submit to you earlier, that this is an urgent situation, like woo woo, the alarms are going off. This whole time thing, you got to get a grip on it now and get real with yourself now. But why is it? Why is this so hard for us as behaviorally? Why do so many people struggle with time blocking or blame things on time? Why do you think? Let me see some of your comments in the chat window. Why do people suck at following a time block schedule? What's so hard about this? Let me see some of your answers. It's easier and more fun to wing it. Yeah, there's probably a lot of truth to that. Making a commitment, Jody says. Yeah, we fear commitment. Get distracted. I see it. This is awesome. Great job. You're all, there's no right answer here. So I'm seeing distracted a lot. It's a focus issue. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, your life is not a dress rehearsal. It's not a dress rehearsal. We go through the motions throughout the day so much, and it becomes like Groundhog Day. Same thing, day in, day out, and that's life. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to believe that there's a lot more to life than that, and to keep it exciting, right? So, hey, here's a book suggestion if you struggle with this type of stuff. It's called The Power of Habit. It's a yellow book with red writing. It's called The Power of Habit. And here's an example. How many of you have ever said things to yourself like, I don't know, I'm just not motivated today? And it becomes this downward spiral, self-inflicted wounds. I'm just not feeling it today. I'm not motivated. I don't know. What the power of habit suggests, and this has everything to do with time blocking, I promise this is going to come full circle for you. Here's an example. Let's say every morning you have a routine where you wake up, you immediately get in the shower. After the shower, you get dressed. And after you get dressed, you go downstairs, you push the coffee pot, and then you go sit on the couch. And then next thing you know, it's noon, half the day is wasted, and you're like, yeah, I think I'll make up for it tomorrow. And on goes the pattern of behavior. What the Power of Habit book is suggesting is that we have triggers. Every single one of them, you and me both, have triggers that our subconscious mind is not even aware of. And so, for example, if we took that same situation where I woke up, I took my shower, I got dressed, I go downstairs, and maybe, just maybe, the act of me sitting on the couch, which leads to me being a bum until noon, what happened right before that? They're going to argue that if you disrupt the pattern of behavior and simply, for example, don't go punch the coffee pot on, that could disrupt the entire pattern of things to follow. So some of you who are telling yourself that you're not motivated, what's wrong with me, blah, 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 analyze your day. What is leading up to the events and you saying things like that? Because odds are you either have impotent goals and you have no clarity around your big why or what you're really trying to achieve in this short life that we all have, or it's just a behavioral and a habit, and that good news is we can change. You have the power to change your habits. And so that's a good book if this is something that's appealing to you, that you guys want to really deep dive into habits and how all that works. Go check that book out. Okay, so as we said before, time is the great equalizer. What I'm going to do right now, what you're looking at is something that I need you to follow along with. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. And what I have pulled up, by the way, this resource is available to you in the resource library on the Locker Room website, okay? But what this is a list, guys, that Gary Keller put together. Don't worry about the X's and the P's. Don't worry about that. That's not the point of this. But what this is a list of 190 tasks that the average real estate agent is responsible for. So I'm going to side with you for a second. No wonder we say there's not enough time in the day. No shit, Sherlock. Look at all this stuff that at any given point you are responsible for. If you don't have an admin, you are one. If you don't have a buyer's agent, you are one. Now, don't mistake in what I'm saying tonight. My whole spiel tonight is not for you to start a team or join a team. That is not it. Okay? But you can see here, and this is legit stuff. This is not made up. These are everything at some point or another, daily or weekly, that you are likely responsible for in your real estate business. So again, no wonder you're feeling overwhelmed. If you are a new agent or newer, I know how you're feeling. I'm talking to you right now in this little camera. You're feeling anxious. You're feeling stressed. You're feeling a lot of frustration and overwhelm right now. Okay, and that, yeah, there's even for a lot of older agents. Look, here's the reality. Stress and things like that are not used to describe people. Those types of words are used to describe machinery. You are not a machine, okay? I don't want you stressed. I don't want you feeling anxious and tense all the time. That's not healthy for you. So here, if we can just face the reality, I'm gonna play on your side for a second. Well, yeah, but coach, come on, Jake, you know, I get it. You're right. Look at all these things. This is ridiculous. So here's an exercise. What I did in advance, you can see in yellow. Just play with me here. So because for the sake of time, but I would love your interaction anyways. Let's just look at 6 things. 6 out of 190. Just look at 6. I've got the 6 highlighted. So how much time per day on average would you say you spend in your database, whether it's adding people, updating information, putting them on drip campaigns? How much time per day on average would you say is spent in your database? Just for the sake of our conversation, let's maybe say an hour a day, okay? 1 hour. Then let's go to designing marketing materials. I'm talking about Facebook posts. I'm talking about open house flyers and graphics. How much time per day would you spend on average doing that? Maybe 30 minutes, let's just pretend. So that's an hour and a half right there. So if I were to scroll down and let's take another look here, prospecting. Well, in theory, you're supposed to lead generate for 3 hours a day. So let's just go with that. 3 hours plus the hour and a half before, that's 4.5 hours. Shoot, lead follow-up, maybe that's another 30 minutes. So let's make that 5 hours. Researching the market and maybe even preparing a CMA, maybe that's another 30 minutes. So that's 5.5 hours. And then down here, putting information in the MLS. Maybe you have a listing or something. So right there, easily, you might have 6 hours of work right there. Just that right there alone. And oh, by the way, there's 184 items we haven't even accounted for yet. Are you with me? So we're breaking it down. I told you at the start of this video, this is what we were going to do. Stay with me, track with me. I promise this is going to make sense to you. So we're acknowledging this. Like, oh my God, out of 6 things out of 190, I'm already up to about 6 hours a day on average. Again, no wonder you're saying and feeling the things that you're feeling, okay? It's the truth. But here's what I want to do, and I'm going to jump around because I got some things to show you. Here it is, and these are my little scribbles. I told you nothing about this is going to be fancy tonight. I literally drew this on paper earlier, and I scanned it to myself. So here we go. There is such a thing as bullseye activities. That's the ring with the $ in it. There's another thing as ring 1 activities and another thing as ring 2 activities, just for the sake of our conversation. Well, as you can see here, the bullseye where the $ is, is IGA, income generating activities. Trust me when I say this, that list of 190 things, there's literally only 10 that are truly income generating activities, which you would imagine, of course, is the lead generation and stuff like that. 10, that's it. So we hear about this 80-20 principle, it's alive and well, okay? The ring one activities are things that are really important. You can mistake them for income generating activities, but they're really not. Technically, they could be delegated to somebody else. A classic example of this would be contract to close, like that transaction coordination aspect of things. It's really close to the dollar because things can fall apart and move around right leading up to closing. But technically speaking, it's not income generating. It could be leveraged to somebody else. And then finally, you've got ring two activities. These would be the very first things that I would seek to delegate if I was trying to start a team or something. And no offense to anybody, but this is the creating of flyers, responding to emails. Guys, this is the $10 to $12 an hour work, maybe $10 to $15 an hour work that you can leverage it out. Again, don't mistake in this now for me trying to tell you to go start a team. That's not my point. My point to you is right here. So many of us get caught up in the busyness. You're not working your business, you're just caught up in the busyness of things. There is a massive difference between busyness and actually being productive. All right? And so we want to be in that ring, that center ring, as much as we can, but some of us, I'm lumping myself too, feel good about the day. We brag and say, you know what? I worked 16 hours today. I feel good. I got a lot done. Well, probably what you spent a majority of your day in was this 80% stuff in ring two. Unless you tell me you lead gen for 16 hours a day. I doubt it. All right. So we feel good. We hallucinate and we try and tell our minds a story or a lie. And my question to you as a coach is, what did you actually accomplish today that moved you towards making money? Because everything else is just fluff. You guys said it earlier, not me. It's distractions. A lot of distractions and shiny objects get in the way. Okay? So there's a difference between busyness and being productive. So let me go back here now. There is something called, we just touched on it, the 80-20 rule. And I'll leave that up for now. What the 80-20 rule suggests, some of you are probably very familiar with this, that 20% of my activities will lead to 80% of my results. We have to figure out, and I'm going to help you, and your coach is going to help you, what are those 20% things, right? That everything else will depend on. Another way of saying that is 80% will only yield you 20% of your results. And that's where a lot of us tend to hang out, is in the 80% stuff, which is only going to lead to about 20% of your results. Not a good return on my time investment, okay? So we got to get real with ourselves on what I'm doing right now. You're going to have little Jake sitting on your shoulder throughout your days. What I'm doing right now, is it an income generating activity or could it be brushed aside to do later? And that's what I'm going to show you right now. I've got this quadrant thing. I know it's teeny tiny. Let me blow up my screen a little bit. I know it's a little fuzzy, but bear with me. This is a way to think about it. Is it a quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4 activity? Whatever you're about to do, start asking yourself, what I'm about to do, is it urgent and important where I have to do it now? Swallow the frog. By the way, things like lead generation fit in ring 1, or not ring 1, I'm sorry, quadrant 1. Some things are not important and they're not urgent. You can just dump it all together. What about number 4? Urgent, yet not important. I can delegate it. I got to get the open house flyer done. I mean, I told my client I would, okay, so it's urgent, but it's not critically important to the point where somebody else couldn't do it for you, right? And then number 2 is important and not urgent, and you can decide when you do it. See, here's the thing. If you read the One Thing book, let me pull up a graphic for that, my little scribble. The One Thing book tells us about this, and it also tells us about how we operate. Some of you, I posted this the other day, spend more time planning your grocery list or your upcoming vacation than you spend planning your life, or in this case, your business. How does that even add up? I thought the purpose of business was to fund my perfect life. I thought that's what we were taught. So why am I spending more time coming up with the freaking grocery list than thinking about my business intentionally and spending time in my business where I'm supposed to? Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You saying I don't have enough time in the day, if I watched your activities with a clipboard all throughout the day, you're probably spending a lot of wasted time in the stuff. And then your family suffers because you show up late, you're stressed, you're tense, you're short-tempered with them, and it's your fault because you wasted the time during the day not doing the important stuff because it's a little uncomfortable. Yep, I just went there. So this right here is also in the One Thing book. He talks about balance and that it's a myth, work-life balance. Don't we all want it? Well, that center line right here represents the what would be, I guess, a perfectly balanced life. That's what that midline represents. But he's making the argument that we are constantly in a state of counterbalance. Some day, some week, some month, there's seasons of life where you're going to be overweight. You're going to be out of balance, right? So most of you right now are over here on the work side. This is you at the peak. You're exhausted, you're tensed, you're stressed. Well, no wonder, because you're out of balance over here. Gary Keller's point is saying, look, you're always in a constant fluctuation and state of counterbalancing your life versus work. The point is, don't stay anywhere one place too long. Okay? So if you're right now trying to launch your real estate career, of course you're out of balance. Okay? But get back to center of gravity as quickly as you can. Reward yourself. Celebrate the little victories. Take your spouse out to dinner. Go on a little weekend vacation trip, which puts you out of balance over here on life. And then get back to work. That's the zig and the zag of things right there. And I see I have a question from Susan, so let me pull this graphic back up for you, Susan. There you go. So does that make sense? And again, I'm building my case. Stay with me, you guys. I promise this will all come full circle. So we got to acknowledge these things, though. I told you we got to break it down before we can build it back up, right? Good stuff. Okay, so next, here's what I want to do. Let me go back to here. What is your time worth? Right there. Let me give you this. So remember this right here? We got to acknowledge not all things matter equally. Not everything is weighted equally. Gary Keller in the One Thing says most of us operate off of a to-do list. That's the 80% stuff. Those are the ring 2 activities. All right? That's most people. At least from there, from a to-do list, which is like a dang laundry list of things, you need to condense that into a should-do list. You know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend like you don't. There's things on there that matter or are weighted more heavily than the rest. So take it from a to-do list down to a should-do list, and take that should-do list and condense it down into a must-do list. Some of this is just common sense, and we as adults certainly know what's more important than not. Me lead generating and having 10 conversations a day is far more important than worrying about my website. Excuse me. Okay? You gotta just wait, you gotta think about that, right? So if we use this that I showed you earlier, and I go back to my little scribble here, what is your time worth? So many of us came from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday jobs. We're used to understanding that I'm trading my time for a preset amount of money. Well, in real estate, unfortunately, we don't get a base salary. You are now paid in direct proportion to the value that you provide. This is not about hourly wages anymore. In real estate, you get paid in direct proportion to the value that you provide. But let's look at this like the common person could look at it. Play with me. So what is your time worth? Here's an example. My example is a $200,000 average sales price. I have no idea what market you sell in, but you can do your own math here. But let's just use a $200,000 average sales price. And for the ease of math, you're getting a 3% commission. So therefore, your average gross commission income is 6 grand. Simple math right there, 6 grand. Now, research shows on an average, right, that 35 hours is spent on any one transaction from lead capture all the way through the deal and closing. You've probably spent a legitimate 35 hours on that transaction. And I know your mind might think it's actually working more like 100 hours. That's just consuming your mind space. I'm talking actual work. It's probably around 35 hours per deal. So if we can agree on this, you can see the rest of my math here. The value of your time, if this is you, hey, cool. You know that you're worth about 171 bucks an hour. I bet your last job didn't pay you that much money. Kind of cool, right? Well, wish it was that easy, don't you? So 171 bucks an hour. Now, as I said earlier, leverage 1 hour. If that's worth 1 hour of your time, and little Jake sitting on your shoulder, ooh, why am I building this open house flyer ahead of my lead generation? I'm not doing $171 per hour activity, am I? Nope, you're not. You're coaching yourself. So, if I trade or I hire somebody or somehow I can delegate it where I pay somebody 15 bucks an hour to do that, or in my example here, $12 an hour to create that flyer, you're still a net 159 bucks. Do you see this? So what the affluent people understand out there in this world, because we know time is the great equalizer, they understand how to increase their dollar per hour. This is how they do it. And some of them understand it on a high level where we're talking millions upon millions of dollars, not just 159. Okay, is this making sense? I hope so. So for you, I'm going to put myself in your shoes because I've coached a lot of agents, and this is just being assumptive. Let's say you're one of the agents who says that they want to make $100,000 per year. Okay, great, 100,000, awesome. Well, let's assume that you're going to work 50 weeks out of the year. And during those weeks, you're only working 5 days because you're taking 2 days off. Come on, you have a life. You got family, you got other things that you got to do. All right, cool. So we can agree then. I'm reading a comment. Yeah, there you go. So that's 250 working days in a year. You see that? You see my math? Look at it. So here's a basic thing. $100,000 divided by 50 days, 250 days. That's $400 per day, ladies and gentlemen. And if you work, I don't know, 8 hours a day, 50 bucks an hour, that's all we got to do. That's the rhythm. That's the pace that if you say you want to make 6 figures, you just got to know, did I or did I not earn $400 today? Now, here's the caveat. You know as well as I do, this industry doesn't pay you immediately. That's the problem. It's work, 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 get paid 90 days later. Work, 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 get paid 90 days later. There's a fear and faith element going on here. So what I'm going to say to you is not literally, did I earn $400 today? What I'm saying to you is, did I do $400 worth of activities today? And then I'm going to bet on my future self that it's going to pay off. Time on task over time. Commit to the process. It's a 90-day cycle. What you do today will show up in 90 days, right? And so if you've ever attended Bold or anything like that, you hear these cute little quotes and sayings, things like, all work expands to fill the time allowed, right? So if we're not careful, you can say, oh, I'm just going to work 8 hours today, but your work will expand to fill the time allowed. This is why I've always said I will take a stay-at-home mom, for example, over a full-time realtor any day of the week. Why? Because a full-time mom only might have 2 or 3 hours a day to work real estate while the kids are napping, when the full-timer just has all the time in the world. There's no urgency, there's no focus. All right? So if you're not careful, time, it can be your best friend, but it can also be your worst nightmare, which leads to hallucinations that you were productive when in reality you're really busy. Kind of what I was saying earlier. But anyways, I'm digressing. So you see the example here. Some of you need to start asking yourself, Did I earn $400 today in this example? I'm even going to kick that up a notch. Let's go down here. Here's my challenge. Here's the question. Did you go to work today? Did you go to work yesterday? Do you all realize that you wake up every single day unemployed? We got to go find the business, man. You're not going to just post on Facebook one time and people all of a sudden wake up every day thinking about you. I mean, what did you think when you got into this business? We got to go find it. So here's Gary Keller's realtor job description. Every day, this is exactly what you're supposed to do. Nothing else matters unless you do this, right? So nowhere on here do you see create a shiny, beautiful little website. It's lead generation every single day, lead follow-up every single day, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, scripts, and dialogues. And you're going to tell me, yeah, but come on, Jake, come on, dude. I'm new. I don't have any appointments yet. I don't have any contracts to negotiate. Okay, great. So you have one of two options. Number one, you can fill that time then with more lead generation until you do have one. Or why are you not practicing it? Grab a partner. Practice going on an appointment. Practice negotiating contracts. Are you with me? If you can't present that buyer agency or that listing agreement upside down, you have not mastered it yet. And I don't know if that would give me the confidence as your client to use you to represent the largest investment of my lifetime, probably. You got to know this stuff. Are you practicing it or putting yourself in real-time situations where you can at least shadow somebody who's doing it every day? This is your job description. If you went to work today, you probably earned at least $400. That's going to pay you in the future. If you didn't, then you disrupted the model. Because this is a model, this is not a menu. You don't get to pick and choose what you feel like doing every day. So guys, I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing right now intentionally as a coach is, yes, I'm getting passionate and I'm speaking direct, but what I'm doing is I'm speaking logically, because I understand at a pretty high level the difference between logic and emotion, and we're taught that, right? Tony Robbins is a big kicker on that. Logic versus emotion. Emotion makes people act. Logic makes people think. So many of you right now are running your real estate business based on emotion. That's not good, because the ebb and flow of your enthusiasm and how you approach every day, dude, we're humans. We're emotional creatures. If you're running your business on emotion, I'm not sure how that's going to work out for you. But if you run it on logic and remove emotion from the equation, now you're working towards being a business owner. You got to remove any emotion from this kind of stuff, okay? You got to just see it for what it is. So I'm taking you, that's why I'm spending time doing these numbers up here. I'm trying to get you in a state of logic, because your emotion is making you second guess yourself. Your emotion has the drunk monkey talking that, well, that's weird, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to sound slimy and salesy. Yeah, all these things add up and eventually affect the way that you time block your day, okay? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Just want to clue you in on that. Okay, so let's see here. I want to show you, let's get into some solution mode now. Here we go. Oh, that's way too big. Let me shrink it. By the way, this graphic is also available to you in your resource library. So here's an example, guys, just an example. Is every day going to go perfect? Heavens, no, it's not, okay? I get that, but here's something to strive for. This would be a perfect schedule where you wake up at 8, or I'm sorry, by 8, you are lead gen prepping. What does that mean? You can see some examples there. Maybe you're doing your scripting right before you're about to make your calls. Maybe you're pulling MLS data, so you're doing some market research. Maybe you're pulling a list of all the homes you're getting ready to door knock that day. Whatever it is, that's your prep time, all right? Next, starting around 8:30, is the actual activity of lead generation. Whatever it is you're supposed to be doing that day, calls, door knocks, open house, you name it, now I'm doing the actual activity. And then at 11 o'clock, so technically your day really shouldn't start as far as other people are concerned until 11:01 a.m. because you're a time blocking ninja and nothing else matters in this world except your family until 11:01 a.m. Okay, so now is your chance to service business. I don't know about you, but real world talk, anytime I'm doing something for an extended period of time, my attention span goes. And so you need to reward yourself. You got to get real with your calendar. It might be all color coded and pretty, but it's not real. Get real. Don't set yourself up for failure and disappointment here. So after I do a big job, a big task like lead generation, man, you need to treat yourself. You need a break. You got to just take your focus somewhere else. And for some of you, I know for me, like I have this addiction to my email and Facebook. So after my focused activity, I personally put flex time on my calendar. Maybe I just want to stare at the wall for 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my Lord, save me now. Or you're servicing business or whatever. I personally just choose to call it flex time on my calendar because maybe I just want to check email and surf the internet for a second. I don't have to decide every minute and every second of my freaking day what I'm going to do. Okay? So once you do that, of course, you're going to have lunch. And after you have lunch, you're back to either lead generation or servicing in the business or converting your leads, meaning setting appointments and scheduling showings and things like that if you have some business going on. Once that's over, again, you still have some more time block there to service existing business. Maybe you have a home under contract and you got to coordinate the date for the inspection or getting the appraiser out to the property. That's that kind of stuff that can fall into those windows of time there, okay? And then from 3 to 6, or maybe for you it's 2 to 5, again, there's some wiggle room here, but let's just say from 3 to 6 is when you're setting your appointments and showing homes. And then by 6, you're off. You're at home, you're with family having dinners, you're partying at the lake. I don't care what you do, but that's what a typical flow of a workday would look like. And so hopefully, I don't know, maybe that helps you. It's never going to be perfect, but like Diana teaches us, what I know for sure is if it's not on my calendar, it does not exist. It literally does not exist in this world. It's just a thought. And you can't run a successful business off of just memory. You got to systematize it. This is a fancy word or fancy way that we can say we're systematizing your life, your schedule. All right. So I just want to show that to you. I've got some more things I want to show you, but let me preach to you for a hot second here. Well, if I pull back up this graphic that I showed you earlier, something that is near and dear to me, and we talk about this a lot with the locker room coaches that we're in business with. We really care about you guys, the heart of your coach, where we always are saying and talking about how we coach to the whole person. We coach to the whole person. Why? Because we freaking care. It's not always about business and how many contacts did you make and did you get an appointment today or not? Come on. If something's wrong and I see when you walk through my office door that something's wrong, we're going to talk. And I'm going to act like I'm your counselor for the day. And I know a lot of the other, if not all the locker room coaches agree with that philosophy. And here's my point. These aren't just cute little quotes. I need you to hear this. If this could be one of the best things out of this entire thing tonight. Two items. Number one, we teach people how to treat us. Do you understand that? We teach people how to treat us. You cannot complain about the things that you're tolerating. I'm going to say this again. We teach people how to treat us, and you cannot complain about the things that you are tolerating. So what do I mean? You might come into my coaching session and say, well, Jake, I am exhausted. I am so frustrated right now because my clients are calling me at 6 in the morning. Okay, well, as a coach, I'm gonna start asking you some questions, and what we might discover is in your language, because you have such a heart of a customer service oriented realtor, I get it. You're saying things like, oh yeah, and hey, Mr. Client, call me anytime. I'm here for you. I pride myself on my customer service. Call me anytime. We say things like that whether you know it or not, and how they hear it is literally call me anytime. This is an example of what I'm talking about. A, we teach people how to treat us, and B, you can't complain about the things you tolerate. One of the easiest methods to protect your time block schedule is around setting great expectations with the other person. That's a different day, a different topic, but I just wanted to sneak that in there. And here's the other thing I get massively passionate about. If you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. What is it? Do you have clarity on what you're saying no to? If I say yes to something, I say no to something else. I think it was Sir Isaac Newton, some genius, once said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if I want to flex my bicep, that means my tricep has to relax in order to allow that to happen. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That is what I'm talking about. If I say yes to something, what's equal and opposite? I'm saying no to something else. What is it? It better not be your stinking family. I mean it. So if you're in the middle of dinner at 6 o'clock and that phone call is coming through from a client, and your scarcity mindset versus thinking abundantly is saying, oh, hang on, honey, 1 second, I got to take this call. Oh, they want to go see property right now. Excuse me from the dinner table. Sorry, kids, I'll see you tomorrow morning before school. Give me a freaking break. Stop it. And I mean this. I mean, I'm fired up. You got it? Stop it. If I say yes to something, I'm saying no to something else, and it better not be your family. Better not be. No amount of money is worth skipping out on experiences and spending time with the people that you said probably that you went into the business for in the first place. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Y'all need to wake up. I'm serious. This is urgent. This is a big deal, and I'm pushing. I told you I was going to keep it real. If my daughters, I have 2 daughters, Ava and Adeline, they're 4 and 3 years old. If they have a teacher's conference or something going on at their school, you better bet your sweet butt I'm going to be there. I'm their father. I'm not missing out on their life. So I don't know if you have kids, a spouse, or a dog, or whatever is important to you, but you need to get clarity around it. If you say yes to something, what are you saying no to, and are you okay with that? Now, on the flip side of that, here's a good example. So I'm sitting in my office right now. There's a door right here. If somebody were to come by and say, knock, knock, you got a minute? Well, sure, I want to help you, no problem, right? There's a way to balance this out, okay? I'm not saying you got to be a professional jerk the rest of your life, but you got to have clarity on what you're saying no to sometimes, okay? All right, that just got real. How about that? So let's turn the corner now. I'm going to share with you one more thing. Sorry, somebody make me laugh or something. Terry says, stop it, I agree. Yeah. Who's saying I love get lectured? Megan says, I love getting lectured this evening. Thank you for putting this in perspective. Okay, so I'm not offending you guys. You're not hating me. Thank you. So here's what I'm going to offer you up. I know we're approaching, we got about 10 more minutes here, so I'm going to try and respect your time and end on time. But I want to show you one last thing. Here's how I do it. And by no means, guys, am I an expert. You can ask my wife. I was awful. I am like the least organized person in the whole wide world. I have had to really build the muscle for time blocking over time. This has not come natural to me. So maybe that's hope for some of you. So here's my method. I'm just gonna share this with you. This is what I personally do. If this works for you, great. If it doesn't, hey, whatever. Find your style. For me, this is my operations. So I personally, with my coaching business, I schedule my months at a time. So for you, find your rhythm, find your habit. Maybe it's Sunday nights. You're going to plan your entire week. Maybe it's the night before. You're going to plan your next day. I'm not here to tell you what to do. For me, I plan my month, and that works for me. Okay? But here's my order of operations. You have a blank calendar. It's a blank month or a year for that matter. It is your canvas. It's time to go painting. So what I do first is I schedule my family and vacation time first. That's how I'm able to guarantee I'm going to my daughter's events or whatever is important to me, it's going first. Nothing else matters and is going to get in the way of that. Okay? Second, it's events or any other immovable object. What I mean by that is, let's say it's mega camp, or it's bold, or it's your coaching session, or in this case, it's your lead gen time. That no matter how much you want to kick and scream, you can't change the time and the date. That goes on your calendar next. Are you with me? So, so yeah, I already gave you some examples, but let's say you want to go to family reunion next year. Okay, as long as it doesn't conflict with family time or anything in your personal life, put it on your calendar next. Nothing else will get in the way of it as long as it's on your calendar next. Okay? Now, here's where I usually throw people. It's number 3. I want you to, after you do those 2 things, I want you to mark on your calendar 2 predetermined appointment slots. Why? Why would I say that right now? Well, the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because this keeps you in control of your calendar. I'm going to say 2 a day just to be safe and have a couple options. Monday through Friday or Sunday or Saturday, whatever your days of business operations are, have 2 predetermined appointment slots selected. Why? Because if I'm a buyer and I call you out of the blue and say, hey, Brenna, stop what you're doing. I want to go see these homes. You can say, I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of an appointment right now. Even if the appointment's with yourself or you're at your kid's soccer game, you don't owe them a justification. Anyways, hey, I'm in the middle of an appointment right now. I'm really excited, though. It sounds like that's a great home. Can't wait to show that property to you. Tell you what, I've got today at 2 or tomorrow at 1. Which one of those works best for you? You see what I just did there? People, psychologically, people want to feel like they win. And they feel like they won because you gave them options. They got to decide. They feel empowered. But who really won? You. Why? Because you are in control of your calendar, because you had the wherewithal to have 2 predetermined appointment slots that you can offer up to them as options. So, hey, does today at 11 or tomorrow at 2 work best for you? I can't do either one of those. Oh, okay, no problem. What about tomorrow at 3, or would 5 be better? I can keep going and going and going until I find one. Now, here's the thing. You need to hear this. I am not advocating you miss out on business if there really isn't a meeting of the minds that you can find. Like, let's say a person from out of town is flying in and they're flying out the same day. They gotta buy a home. Dude, go get the business, okay? But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Back to one of the bold laws, if I erase it, then I must replace it. So if I happen to choose, because now it's a choice, to disrupt my lead gen time to go on that appointment, you can do that. That is your choice. You're the CEO. But if I erase it, then I must replace it. So what I need to do later is, during one of my appointment slots, I need to make up for the lost lead generation time. You don't get to just not do it altogether. So you can have some flex in your schedule only if it's your choice, but it better be your choice, not letting them choose for you and you acting out of scarcity or fear of loss, that if you don't just, oh my God, I'm going to come. Okay, yeah. Where do you want me to meet you? Because if you don't, you think they're going to go use another agent. Come on now. Come on. That's not the right mindset. You're better than that. Your time is more precious than that. If they can't wait for you, guess what? I got news for you. That's a sign of a lot of headaches to come if they don't respect the fact that you got a life to handle too. They might be the nightmare, the client nightmare from hell, and you just spared yourself a whole lot of headache. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. So anyway, you do that, and then it's everything else, ladies and gentlemen. It's flex time, it's checking email, it's building your website. I don't care what you do. It's go to the lake for all I care, but at least you got everything in that needs to get in. That was the most important stuff, okay? You deserve to have a life. I'm standing up for you. And as coaches, we often say, I'm willing to be this energetic and this straightforward with you because I care. This is my passion coming through. Because as coaches, we're willing to take a stance for you, more than you're willing to take a stance for your own limiting beliefs, right? And I often say this, I care more about you, even if some of you I don't know, I really care. I care more about you than I care about our relationship. How about that one? So this isn't a popularity contest for me. You may not like what I have to say today or tonight, and you can hate me for the day, the week, the month, I don't know. But you can never question my heart or your coach's heart and the place that they're coming from if it's tough love and it's not exactly what you want to hear, but maybe you needed to hear it. And this would be an example of that. So a couple of reminders I put to myself down here. The shift quote. If you haven't read or listened to the book Shift, you need to. But in there it says that current business should never take priority over future business. So what I'm acknowledging before we wrap this video up is what's easy to do is also easy not to do. And so when we say, especially early in your career, oh, hey, I can lead generate all day long. Let's go. Boom. And you do it. Good for you. But what happens is when you start to get business, are you still as committed to the process? Are you still doing the activities that brought you the business in the first place? That's what Gary Keller's getting at when he says that. All right? Current business should never take priority over future business. And that's not suggesting you're going to give crap customer service. No, 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 no. It's a time blocking statement. All right? And so what most people have happen is they experience that real estate roller coaster because they failed a time block. They weren't anticipating having business. So once they get 3, 4, or 5 homes under contract and all of their time and energy is focused there, where my attention goes, my energy flows, then they let their foot off the pedal of the things that got them the business in the first place. Hence, every 90 days you're experiencing the real estate roller coaster. That doesn't have to be you. That doesn't have to be your story if you're a time blocking ninja, and I saw some of you like that earlier. So there you go. One last thing on this subject. Down below, sand versus rocks. YouTube this. There's a video out there. And some of you know what I'm talking about. But there's a picture of a vase. It's like a glass vase. And in one of them, they first pour the sand in first. And they got maybe like 4 or 5 big rocks. So they pour the sand in first, and then they try to put the rocks, the big rocks in next, and they only get a couple in because it's full. Versus the other vase over here, they put the big rocks in first, they get all 5 of them in, and then they dump the sand, and they get all the sand in. So same amount, same quantities of each, yet the order of operations, one didn't allow everything to fit, one did allow everything to fit. Is this making sense? Can you see that visually, that picture maybe? Look up the video, you'll find it. Or maybe I'll post it. That is your life, ladies and gentlemen. That is your life. You got to put the big rocks in first. That is my method here. Put the big rocks in first, and all the sand, all the other stuff will fill in the gaps. But if you put in all the stuff first, the 80%, it's just mind-blowing that you're tricking yourself thinking that you're doing work and you're really not. You're not going to fit any, or maybe only a couple of those big rocks in. And that goes back to the yes versus no thing. All right? So I hope that visual makes some sense to you. There is a video out there for it. Susan says, I'm going to cut back on attending classes about extra stuff, websites. Okay, Susan, you bring a good point here. Thank you guys, Megan, for your comments there. So here's the thing, guys. I told you earlier there's a difference between learning for learning's sakes and learning for doing sakes. And it's true. But please don't misunderstand. Going to training is important. Yet, in the best sense I can possibly say this, sometimes with KW, there's so much training. You got that in the PC program. If all you did was go to trainings all day and didn't leave yourself time to work, I got news for you. Last time I checked, being a professional student leads not to nothing more than having a whole bunch of student debt and student loans. It doesn't pay well. Heck, being a teacher doesn't even pay well for that matter. But if you go to everything on your Market Center's training calendar, you're just becoming a professional student, and that's just going to lead to more and more debt for you. You got to work. So I'm going to challenge you that when that monthly training calendar comes out, comb through it. Maybe you set a goal for yourself that every month I'm going to go to 4 trainings, and I'm only going to go to something that happens, or I'm sorry, applies to me right now, or maybe just ahead of where I'm going. Because here's the thing, odds are, whatever market center you're in, it's probably going to be offered again. Maybe it's going to be offered next month and you catch it that time around. You know what I'm talking about. Things like Quantum Leap and Bold, and you should go to those when they're offered. But you know what I'm talking about. You guys know the difference. So don't choose training over work, yet find the fine balance between the two, because training is incredibly important. I don't want you to mix signals here. But you got to sift and sort through what's important now and applies to me now, and what can wait maybe to the next stage of growth. And if you have questions on that, sit with your coach in one of your coaching sessions and comb through the upcoming training calendar and say, Coach, help me identify what you feel is important now and maybe what can wait, so I don't overload myself on trainings, because that's just going to lead to more being paralyzed and not doing. I want you in action and activities, not just learning mode. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, you guys. Hey, if this was valuable to you, I'm going to post the replay after it gets all uploaded. Will you guys do me a favor? Just one favor. I don't ask for much. If this was valuable to you, I want you to post in the Locker Room Nation Facebook group what ahas you got from this class. Just create a post, make a comment. Let the whole world know what spoke to you. Why? Because frankly, I'm sick and tired of seeing myself and the other coaches posting in that group. I want you all to use that group for masterminds and collaboration and script partners, accountability. Share your stories. Don't let the coaches just post everything in there to try and inspire you for the day. Let's hear from you. And in this case, this is no charge. I'm doing this for free, and I'm not at home with my kids because I'm saying yes to you, and I'm saying no to my family right now because this is that important to me. So what you can do for me as a way to say thank you, I guess, is post in the Locker Room Nation Facebook group what ahas you got from tonight, and let the whole world know, because you're going to help somebody else self-discover something, and you may not ever know that. The ripple effect by you sharing a comment, you never know how that's going to impact somebody else's life. Guys, I love you. I really, truly do. From the bottom of my heart, you are the reason we as coaches do what we do, and never mistake in that. Stay engaged, right? Commit to the process. I can say I want to earn a gold medal like Michael Phelps, but am I willing to spend 16 hours a day in the pool? No shot. No way. I know that. So if you say I want to earn $100,000, does your audio match your video? Are you willing to commit to the process, or be, do, have, you know what I'm talking about, the person who can have those things? And that's how I'm going to leave it. Guys, thank you so much. I hope this was beneficial. We'll talk to you in Locker Room Nation. Thanks again. I'll post the playback. Have a great night, you guys.